at the University of Minnesota, Lindsay Whalen brought the Gophers from the depths of the Big Ten to the Final Four. In the end, the school's all-time leading scorer established herself as one of the most influential athletes in Minnesota history. Now a rookie in the WNBA, today Whalen makes her Center. It'll be fast breaks instead of a lunch break today, and breaking attendance records. Fans from all over are here to see that girl, Lindsay Whalen. The Golden Gopher great is making her first trip back to Minnesota as a pro, a very highly anticipated rookie's return. Today, the Lynx host one of the hottest teams in the WNBA, the Connecticut Sun. Good afternoon and welcome inside Target Center along with Andrea, Lloyd-Curry, and Marney, Gellner. We are expecting about 15,000 fans here today at Target Center. Fair to say, most of them are here to see Lindsay Whalen, and she's made the jump from the University of Minnesota to the WNBA. It's a work in progress, but she's looking pretty comfortable out there.
After a wonderful career at University of Minnesota, she has had a crash course in the WNBA, and she's responded really, really well. She started 18 of the 19 games for Connecticut this year, and she's doing what she's always done, finding open players, distributing the basketball, and finding ways to score. She's been a perfect addition to Connecticut. She'll be matched up today against Helen Darling. Helen Darling has started the last 6 games for the Lynx, and the Lynx have gone 4-2. She's solid at both ends of the floor, and with her leadership, Minnesota has also become one of the hottest teams in the WNBA at this time. So a good matchup and a great matchup with teams, too.
And all the attention will be on that point guard matchup because they're here to see Lindsay, and we'll see if nerves play a factor as Whalen plays in front of family, friends, and yes, plenty of fans. Your starting lineups for the Lynx and the Sun, and the opening tip-off are coming up next on Fox Sports Net. Minnesota Lynx basketball on Fox Sports Net is presented by U.S. Bank, proud sponsor and the official bank of the Minnesota Lynx. And by Verizon Wireless. We never stop working for you.
At guard, 5'8" from Minnesota, number 13, Lindsay Whalen. At center,
a huge reception for Lindsay Whalen here at Target Center. Fans were on their feet to watch Lindsay in her return to Minnesota. Let's look at the starting lineups for both teams, starting with your Connecticut Sun. Lindsay Whalen is the starting guard along with Wendy Palmer, Nikisha Sales, Taj McWilliams-Franklin, and Katie Douglas. And the head coach of the Sun is Mike Tebow. Last year in his rookie season, Tebow guided Connecticut to its first ever playoff series win. Starters for the Lynx. The leading scorer, Katie Smith, along with Tamika Williams, Nicole Oldie, Teresa Edwards, and Helen Darling. Susie McConnell-Serio is in her second year with the Lynx. She guided the team to back-to-back thrillers over the weekend. She'd probably like things to come just a bit easier, though, this afternoon. Andrea, your keys for the game.
There's been some exciting games, you're right, but tonight's keys for the game are defend the perimeter. Minnesota needs to defend Sales, defend Katie Douglas, and obviously Lindsay Whalen. Defend transition. The Sun run the ball better than almost any team in this league. They need to get back in defensive transition, and Minnesota needs to continue to have a balanced attack. Yes, they've been led by Katie Smith, but they do need to have other people contribute solidly. And will it be fun to watch that young lady back in the Twin Cities today?
Certainly will. 8.5 points per game for Lindsay Whalen. She started all but one game for the Sun. She came off the bench in the first game of the season, but has been in the starting lineup ever since.
And she has really thrived. After sitting out that first game and not starting, she struggled in that game. But since coming in and being given the point guard reins for this team, she has just excelled.
From the corner, Katie Douglas off the back of the rim. Tamika Williams controls the board. Darling pushes it up ahead to Edwards inside. Nicole Oldie. Round, turnaround, dribble, shoot. Off the mark, Williams offensive rebound. Edwards thinks about the three.
You're going to see Minnesota do that a lot today. They're going to crash the boards hard. The Sun is a very good rebounding team because they rebound. They like to run. But Minnesota wants to counter that with great offensive rebounding efforts.
Oldie plowing her way into the lane and gets an easy two off the board. McWilliams goes flying into the court and I think was hoping to pick up the offensive foul. But nothing called. Wendy Palmer here. The fake, the dribble drive, the shot off. Offensive board for Taj. Here's Katie Douglas, the three, and she drains it. Douglas hits the first Connecticut basket of the game.
Connecticut's definitely one of those teams that you don't want to give second opportunities to. They just have so many weapons, and Katie Douglas is one of those from the perimeter especially.
Edwards in the double team goes inside to Oldie, but a nice defensive play there by Wendy Palmer to knock it away. Here's Edwards, the three-pointer off the mark. Helen Darling, what a rebound, keeps that one alive. Edwards drives into the lane, finds an opening, and banks it off the glass.
And that's just a great veteran move right there by Teresa Edwards, getting the ball back out after Helen Darling stole it, and really just taking her time. It was rather one of those deceptively slow moves.
Whalen and Darling collide at half court there. And how about Helen Darling at 5'6", taking that ball away from 6'2" Wendy Palmer?
These teams, both of these teams play extraordinarily hard. I think if you were to ask other teams in the league who they disliked playing the most, they would probably have these two teams in the top 3 or 4 just because they play so hard.
Douglas, the quick three, follows her own shot, gets the rebound, and here's Palmer just off the top of the key, and Wendy Palmer drains a three-pointer.
We mentioned Waylon Sales and Katie Douglas from the perimeter and their ability to knock down shots, but that's the great thing about Wendy Palmer. She's 6'2", plays the 4 position for the Connecticut Sun, and she can take the outside shot, play with her back to the basket, or put it on the floor and take it to the basket. Very tough player to guard.
Katie Smith with her hands on the ball for the first time this game, and she draws a foul. That'll be on Nikisha Sales. Our first foul of the ball game.
Tough matchup for Nikisha Sales today. I mean, it's a great matchup in that Nikisha Sales has the same strength and athleticism as Katie Smith, but they really Mike Thibault really wants to slow Katie Smith down today. He talked about that before. He wants her to get out of her rhythm, out of her flow, and it is certainly Nikisha Sales' job to do that.
Well, if there's one player you need to contain from the Lynx, it is Katie Smith, no question. She's led the team in scoring the last 5 games, and there she stops and pops and shows you exactly why.
That's why you have to have your hand in her face at all times. But look at the Sun. They come down, they get the ball down the floor in less than 4 seconds. That's why defensive transition is so important, and that was a good job by the Lynx right there.
Sales, one dribble and shot. Nikisha drains the jumper.
The Sun are very comfortable in these up-tempo type of games. I don't anticipate that it will not be an up-tempo game today.
Katie Smith dribbling through the lane, finds a clearing. Board is loose, and Palmer comes down with it. That time she hangs onto it. Outlet to Sales, right around Katie Smith. And Tamika Williams grabs the board. Here comes Smith in the open court. Stops and takes the two-pointer. Rims out.
The thing that Minnesota needs to be careful about today is being sure on their shots. They don't really want to get into this game of up and down with the Sun very much. That's not really their game. And I'm not saying that the individual players couldn't do the things like Katie just taking that last shot or a rush shot on the possession before that, but they are not accustomed to doing that. And they risk a lot by getting in a kind of a frenetic game like that.
Sales in the lane and again hits the jumper. That's 2 now for Sales, 4 points. And you talked about this tempo. It's been missed shots, made shots, every out-of-bounds, dead ball, live ball. The Connecticut Sun have been pushing up the court. Darling takes the 3. That's off the mark.
And that's one of those quick shots that maybe Helen Darling, she was open, yeah, but they needed to possibly work the ball around a little bit more.
Whalen and Darling collide again. This time the foul will be on Helen. And I would suppose at times you can get caught up into the rhythm of the other team. That's what's happening so far here today. Early on, it's 10-6 Sun. Lindsay Whalen is back in town in Minnesota, and her fans have made her feel welcome. A lot of signs, a lot of jerseys, a lot of face painting. Lindsay's back, but where is Shaq? Is that Janelle McCarville, I assume?
Yes, I think so.
Well, we know she'll be back with the Gophers. It's amazing the number of people that have been around Lindsay and supporting her since she came into town Monday. She did an autograph signing at the mall. I heard her on the radio. She was part of a bank opening, a personal appearance. press conferences. I mean, it's just, people have been wanting so much of her time.
They certainly have, and she's been so gracious with her time. She's one of the most extraordinary young women I've seen around, and she's handled it all very well and is playing really, really well early on.
McWilliams-Franklin hits the turnaround there, and that's a lot of responsibility for a young player to have.
Oh, certainly it is, but I think she's around players that have experienced similar things in sales, and you know, a lot of the Connecticut players experience that pretty much every day, so they have some good mentoring, and her coach is great with it, so I think she feels pretty comfortable.
Here's Darling inside. Williams in a lot of traffic there. 7 on the shot clock. Darling through the lane, kicks it out to Oldie. Nicole, the jump shot. That ends a 6-0 run for the Sun.
And the Sun are back at the offensive end again. Again, 2 seconds to get the ball up the court. I mean, they just look at every single opportunity to take advantage of a weakness. You cannot let your guard down at all.
Katie Douglas dumps it off underneath for Sales. Wow, what a shot.
What an incredible look. And I think right now the Sun have 5 baskets, and all 5 of them are assisted, which is pretty incredible.
And how about the Lynx in a transition game there? Oldie draws the foul.
Hey, do you know what? If the Lynx can play this up-tempo game without, without feeling uncomfortable, that's great. But watch Katie Douglas. She's a great passer. This little no-look pass with her left hand, and Sales, one of the best finishers in the game, I think. And here you see Minnesota in a transition game, again, playing a little more up-tempo tonight. And Nicole Oldie, you know, we've talked about her quite a bit in this season up to date. She has been so great. Another rookie that has just made a huge impact on this Lynx team. And Susan McConnell-Serio, I don't think she could be happier with the way Nicole Oldie has performed. They're going to need her again today to really, really do some good things inside and establish a strong inside game.
Oldie makes 1 of 2. She was the 6th overall pick in the draft, and you're right, Susie McConnell-Serio was so high on her and had such high expectations, and Oldie has lived up to every one of them.
I think all of the rookies this year have pretty much lived up to all of the expectations, and that tells you what an extraordinary year it was in college basketball.
Palmer misses on the drive. Williams grabs another rebound. So now we'll see walking up the court for a change.
I'm not quite sure what to say. I'm so used to them running. Again, right now Minnesota needs to execute well, get into their team offense, inside-outside game. But they're a little stagnant, if you see. They're a little bit not quite in a rhythm. 7 seconds left on the shot clock now, and still haven't even gotten a look.
Yeah, they were getting pretty comfortable in that transition offense.
You know, if you're not used to playing in a transition offense, as you see Wendy Palmer here, then it's something that's difficult to do, to turn it on and turn it off, to go from a transition game to a half-court game and be effective at both of them. And if you're not accustomed, it's very hard. I think Mike Tebow's teams are accustomed to it. The Lynx are less accustomed.
Into the game for the Lynx, Amanda Lassiter, and for the Sun, Asia Jones, another former UConn star. Lassiter started for the Lynx up until the end of June when Helen Darling came into the starting lineup as Susie McConnell-Serio went with the shorter lineup, but Lassiter continues to log some significant minutes. Katie Smith for 3 behind the arc, a little strong. Oldie chases it down, ends up in the stands though, and that ball will go over to Connecticut. See the full court pressure coming from Darling all over Whalen, who has yet to take a shot in this game.
Lindsay Whalen doesn't take very many shots. She's very, very selective.
Oh, look at the fake in the left hand. Couldn't quite get that one to go, but the fans wanted it. It looked pretty impressive. Here's Lassiter from the baseline. 3, rolls around and out. Offensive board by Tamika Williams. And she's been hitting the glass pretty hard this game.
You know, there's quite a few of the Lynx players that have played very scrappily in the last few games.
Scrappily?
Scrappily in the last few games, and that's the kind of efforts they need.
Near steal by Sales. Lassiter free on the baseline, and that time she hits the 2.
I like Amanda Lassiter coming off the bench. I mean, I know it's probably a disappointment to not be in the starting lineup, but she's so skilled.
A nice weapon to have off the bench as well. Douglas rims out, and here comes Oldie the other way. Quickly, Katie Smith runs hard into Nikisha Sales.
And Katie did not even see that coming. She had turned her head and was about to pass the ball to her teammate Amanda Lassiter, who was streaking up the floor. Nikisha Sales went to just cut it off and try to steal the pass.
And that's 2 fouls on Sales, and you could just see by the look in Katie Smith's eyes, I think she was as as shocked as she was anything. We'll look at it again here.
And you know what? Makisha Sales and Katie Smith, they may seem small compared to other players out there, but those are two big girls. They're both 6 feet, and they're very, very strong. So two bodies colliding at that speed without seeing it coming. Glad nobody's hurt.
That was a tough landing for Katie, but she's a tough girl. Here she comes right back, dribble drive, kicks it out to Darling. Behind the back, loses Whalen, but then loses the ball.
Great team defense by the Sun right there.
Ellen pass quickly to Sales. She'll stop and take the jumper. And Lassiter controls for Minnesota. Well, this is at times a frantic pace.
It certainly is. I mean, I think that both teams like to kind of get up in your face defensively. They understand. They have great respect for some of the shooters on each other's teams. They just play very, very hard.
Inside, Williams with just 5 on the shot clock. Lassiter's got to put one up, and she does. Short off the rim.
Just great rebounding by the Sun. They keep great position.
Sales inside to Asia Jones. Jones working on Oldie. The turnaround short off the rim. Good defense by Nicole Oldie on a pretty accomplished player, Asia Jones.
She is an accomplished player. I think she might have faked herself out on that post move, though.
Too many moves at times. Too many fakes. Smith, great look inside. Williams can't finish, though.
Another great defensive possession by the Sun, just being in the right place.
Oh, Lindsay Whalen's pass goes off Helen Darling's arms at the turnover, and here comes Darling the other way, and she is fouled by Whalen. So Darling will head to the line for a couple of free throws. Whalen picks up her first foul of the game. Stay tuned to Fox Sports Net tonight for Minnesota Sports Tonight. It's a half-hour dedicated to your local sports teams. Minnesota Sports Tonight on Fox Sports Net. That's 10 o'clock tonight. The only sports network where Minnesota fans come first. And you can bet on Minnesota Sports Tonight. They'll have highlights of this game as well as the post-game press conference from Lindsay Whalen and get her reaction to returning to Minnesota. Katie Smith looking all right after that collision with Makisha Sales at half court. Kind of shook that one off. And the Sun have not scored in the last 4 minutes. They started out awful hot, but have yet to convert any points in the last 4 minutes.
They really have gotten so many of their shots or their looks at the basket, and not their primary transition necessarily, but their secondary transition. Haven't really set their offense up very much, it seems.
Helen Darling hits the first. She's shooting 67%, the 5'6" guard from Penn State University and mother of triplets. I can't believe that. Every time I look at her, I think about having 3 2-year-olds at home.
I can't imagine having 3 2-year-olds or 3, children at once, let alone being pregnant with 3 children and then coming back to play, but then having them at home and juggling that with being a competitive athlete. Pretty incredible.
She does it all. She's doing it on defense right now, hounding Whalen. Here's Jones, the fake, as Vanessa Hayden has checked in for Minnesota, and she'll pick up her first foul of the game. Amber Jacobs, another rookie, in for Minnesota as well. She'll replace Helen Darling.
We have 3 top-round picks in the WNBA draft this year, and Vanessa Hayden, Lindsay Whalen, and Nicole Oldie on the floor right now. Number 4, obviously, was Lindsay Whalen. 6, Nicole Oldie, and Vanessa Hayden was number 7 in the draft.
4, 6, and 7 on the court. Underneath the shovel pass, lost though, and Hayden will come up with it. A steal for Minnesota, and Amber Jacobs will run the point. And we've seen, especially in the last 2 games, that the Lynx are very comfortable with their bench.
They have gotten more comfortable, and I think Susie McConnell-Serio, they earned a great deal of her confidence after coming back from 20 down in the game last week, and it was all bench, and they've just really performed well.
Jacobs has Whalen fall down, and so she'll take the open 3, but she'll come up short. And Taj McWilliams-Franklin controls the board. Here's Whalen. Taj, top of the key, put on the line, though. It'll be a 2. It would have been if it went in.
And that's not a shot that Taj normally takes. It's a little bit out of her range. Not that she's not capable of making it, but
Hayden inside, taking all defenders in, but couldn't quite put the right touch on it.
this is where Lindsay is so fun to watch in the open floor, and I think that's why the Sun have had so much success with their fast break after opportunities, and that was even a secondary portion of the break. They weren't running any kind of offense. Katie Douglas gets that look just because Minnesota didn't have a chance to get set up defensively.
Oldie inside, one dribble and reverse layup. Nice move there from Nicole Oldie.
That is an impressive little double pump right there by Nicole Oldie.
Well, she's got 7 points.
And again, they need this from Nicole Oldie. I think that if Nicole can establish an inside game, the outside game will open up. But this is just a tough look against a very good defender in Asia Jones. Asia Jones is very, very physical, and Nicole Oldie's a little lighter in build. So taking that kind of contact and being able to finish is something that Nicole has done throughout the year and needs to continue to do.
Svetlana Abrosimova checks in for Minnesota. The 7th overall pick in the 2001 draft, but she sat out a lot of this season with a back injury, and she was over in Russia as well, and she was just activated on June 7th, but didn't play until the end of June, so she's still just getting into the flow of things.
Also, Derevjenik is in the game.
Say that again?
Derevjenik. I've been practicing.
I know you have.
I hope I'm not saying it wrong.
Baseline shot from Asia Jones is good.
She has given so much to the Connecticut Sun since being traded from the Washington Mystics. Asia Jones is just solid at all aspects of the game, and you know what you're going to get from her night in and night out.
It seems like you get
day in and day out.
Yeah, afternoon in. Seems like you get that from players from UConn and players from Tennessee. They're so solid in the WNBA because they come from such solid programs, Asia Jones being one of them. Actually, several UConn players on the courts here this afternoon. Loose ball picked up by Taj McWilliams-Franklin. And the foul coming on Vanessa Hayden. That'll be her 2nd.
A great move by Taj as well. It was very athletic. I was surprised when she received the ball up there and did a little bit of a huge jump stop. Vanessa Hayden not able to quite catch up with her. I just love watching some of these rookies against some of the more experienced players, and this is a great matchup with Oldie or with Vanessa Hayden against a player like Taj McWilliams-Franklin, who's been around this league and other leagues for many, many years.
It is within reach, fans. Lower level, full, and half-season tickets connect you with the Timberwolves as never before. Call now to talk with a sales representative, 1-800-WOLVES-1. Actually, that last foul came on Nicole Oldie, not Vanessa Hayden. Rookie. Take your pick. Amber Jacobs controls for Minnesota, another rookie. Amber Jacobs had her season ended by Lindsay Whalen and the Golden Gophers, as did Nicole Oldie for Kansas State. So they're very happy to be reunited with the former Golden Gopher here. A miss from Hayden, and Connecticut controls.
There's so many interesting storylines in this game. I mean, the whole Kansas State and Minnesota connection of the regionals that were held here, and Lindsay coming back. It's almost easy to forget there's actually a game that has to be played that's important.
Sales kicks it out to Asia Jones, who hit a shot from that spot last time down the court. This time misses. Abrosimova brings it up. And you were wanting them to run there.
I was. Well, I think Svet's really good in the open floor. And talking about frantic paces, she loves games like that.
Just set it up, though, to Lassiter in the corner. That one rolls around and in. A three-pointer for Amanda Lassiter.
That is such a great spark to have as a player coming off the bench and able to come in and just hit big shots like that. And Amanda Lassiter has hit 2 today, but hit quite a few this last week in some big comebacks.
First three-pointer of the game for the Lynx. And that's what brought them back in that game Friday night against Phoenix, a 20-point comeback, courtesy of the bench, pretty much. 6 on the shot clock. Jones inside, loses it. Jacobs will control. Trying to push it up a little bit here. Kicks it out to Abrosimova, and they'll set up the offense. Inside, Oldie settles for the jumper. Abrosimova there for the offensive board.
I was just watching Svet on that play, actually, as Oldie and Hayden were playing a little two-person game. Svet just keeps moving. If you watch her out on the floor, you see her in the baseline here. She crashes the board. She keeps moving on offense, and a lot of good things happen when you do those kind of things.
Oh, Amber Jacobs just dives in and grabs that ball from Taj McWilliams-Franklin. I don't know what was going on. I think she might be hurt because
got
she was
hit in the head, and Amber just saw her with the ball in between her legs and just dove for it.
a very heads-up play for Amber Jacobs, but we certainly hope that Taj is okay there. Back with more from the Target Center after this. Vanessa Hayden bumped heads with Taj McWilliams-Franklin, and Hayden is leaving the game. Nice to see that she's walking and she's under her own power, but she knocked heads pretty good with Taj, and Vanessa just had a head injury on Sunday, and look at this.
Yes, and this is to the other side of her head. Sunday she got hit on the right side of her head, which we'll see here in just a moment.
And she's obviously been cleared to play. She is okay, but this is what happened Sunday.
And it seems rather innocent when you're watching this, because somebody just goes up to try to block Vanessa Hayden's shot. She gets hit in the side of the head, but she left the game, missed pretty much all of the second half, and thankfully we have Taj McWilliams still out there feeling all right after that headbutt. But it's always a concern when players get hit in the head, because it really is deceptive. You don't know when you get hit in the head. I mean, somebody could pass out very easily from something that looks really innocent. So it's always good to see players walk again after a head hit.
Great dish underneath from Stacey Lovelace Tolbert. And Tamika Williams connects on the easy two. And we've got a soda spilled on the baseline here, so they'll stop play. But you saw Dr. Sheldon Burns along with Vanessa Hayden, so they're not taking any risk. And actually, here she comes. She's walking right back in through the tunnel here with Dr. Burns.
Again, it's precautionary. Somebody has a head injury. She had a mild concussion on Sunday. She's coming back now today, and they've cleared her to play. She gets hit in the head again. Obviously, you're going to take her back and make sure that she's doing all right before you let her go back out on the floor. I'm sure she's ready to. Well, she was probably ready to play last week when she got hit. The coaches never let you play when things like this happen. The doctors never let you play.
Probably for good reason. There's one thing you don't want to mess around with, and that's a head injury.
It's actually true, but as a player, it's always great to see players that are competitive and just want to get back out there at all costs. And it's always great to have good doctors that know that players need to maybe sit down for a moment.
Come meet Lynx rookie center Vanessa Hayden right there at Dunwoody College of Technology on Tuesday, July 20th at 3 o'clock. For more information, visit dunwoody.edu or call 612-374-5800. And you can ask Vanessa herself, how did that feel? How did those last two collisions feel? I'm sure not very well.
She's a wonderful kid and fun to be around. A very big girl. I mean, if you should go get an autograph from her just to see how big the players are in the game today, because she's tall, strong, 6'4", 224 pounds, and very agile on the floor. She's surprised me this season. I didn't expect her to do as many things as she's done.
You talk about the doctors being thorough. The cleanup crew has been thorough on the spill of soda courtside. But we're back, where the bench for Minnesota has contributed 7 points compared to Connecticut's 2. And there's a turnover right there. Jen Derevjanik just threw that one a little bit hard, and it's off the hands of Jessica Brungo.
You talk about the bench for Minnesota, but the bench for the Sun has been very important as well. I think Mike Thibault has needed his bench. He's needed his young players to come in and play well, and they haven't really done that great a job in the last 5 or 6 minutes. They've had 3 turnovers with the Sun bench in. I think he'd like to see better production, but again, they're very young.
A near turnover there for Minnesota. Only one starter on the game, so in the game right now. Abrosimova drives, and on the inside, things are tied up, tangled up. Stacey Lovelace Tolbert will go to the free throw line.
Sometimes Minnesota, what happens with them is they become a team that is running their offense and making passes. And here you see Lindsay Whalen coming back into the game for the Sun. That will help them a great deal. But Minnesota, when we talk about them needing to have a balanced attack, they need to also attack and play basketball and not just be a team that
The loose ball on the floor. Abrosimova had to die for it. In the meantime, there was only 5 seconds on the shot clock to start with. So,
well, but to finish that thought, you do have to be a team that doesn't just pass the ball around the perimeter and look for open people. You have to attack. You have to be aggressive, and that's what the substitutes have done quite a bit for Minnesota, and that's why they've had a balanced attack. In that situation, there was 5 seconds on the shot clock. I think the officials are going to talk about this for a second. I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. But the Minnesota players should have been aware of what was going on.
And that was an ugly jump ball to begin with. I don't know that anyone actually touched it while it was in the air. It was kind of just everyone lunging for it, and it ended up loose and kicked around, and Abrosimova dove for it, and the seconds were ticking off quickly. And suddenly, we talked about the frantic pace of this game. It was actually pretty entertaining to watch, and then all of a sudden, here in these last few minutes, there have been turnovers, there's been a spill, there's been an injury, and now this, and things have just really slowed down. The pace of the game has changed dramatically.
It really has slowed down, and I'm not sure it's to anybody's favor. It's probably just to the detriment of the game overall with all of these fans in here. Both teams were playing fairly well. Everybody maybe gets a little bit of a break, but certainly not. You don't like to see these things, but you want to get the calls right too.
Right, and this packed house is probably pretty anxious to get this game back going, but we were told about 14,000, maybe 15,000 would be in attendance here. It's pretty full, but we should also note that the Lynx had sold 8,000 tickets for this game before the draft, before Lindsay Whalen was coming here to this game. It's a Wednesday afternoon. It's for the camps and the daycares and a lot of those outings. A lot of kids here in this building, so there would have been a good turnout for this game. It just became even bigger and exploded with that girl back in town, Lindsay Whalen, through the lane and up and in, her first basket back here in Minnesota as a pro.
That is where Lindsay Whalen is at her best, in the open floor.
A lob inside. Williams drags it down. Abrosimova offensive rebound, but Sales comes up with the steal. And the foul will go on Amanda Lassiter.
If there's one part of Lindsay Whalen's game that I love the most, is just when she gets out in the open floor and is able to just navigate and weave her way through the defense. She is a master at that, and then she's such a great finisher that she's usually able to convert any kind of fast break situation into 2 points. And if she gets double teamed, she's got the wherewithal and the great passing skills to find her open teammates. But I love her in the open floor. And with a Connecticut offense that likes to push the ball, and Mike Thibault's philosophy of running, it fits perfectly.
That was vintage Whalen, that last layup.
Vintage Whalen. She's just 22. How can it be vintage?
All 4 years of Minnesota basketball, we've got to see a lot of that.
Very true.
Sales picks up the foul, her second.
Just an illegal screen at the other end.
Here's Amber Jacobs on the wing, guarded by Whalen. Abrosimova inside. Williams double team. She'll kick it out to Lovelace Tolbert, who take it from the top of the key and hit it. It's a cue for Stacy.
The Sun are keying so much on Katie Smith and Tamika Williams right now that people like Stacy Lovelace Tolbert have got to make shots like that.
Whalen on the move again. Couldn't finish that one. Asia Jones tried the putback. That wouldn't go either. And as soon as I get the ball back to the referees here, we can go and play again.
Continue to play.
Assist Marney Gellner on that play. A lot of subs in and out for both teams. Both use a pretty deep bench. Here's a couple of starters back in for Connecticut. Katie Douglas, the leading scorer. Actually, no, Nikisha Sales leading scorer at 15 points per game, but Katie Douglas is not far behind at 11. Two of the leaders on this Connecticut Sun team, and there's Minnesota's leader, Katie Smith, off the glass a little hard. Try to get the offensive rebound. Here's Whalen pushing it up the other way, and look out, spinning Lindsay, one-handed in, and she draws the foul. Now that is Lindsay Whalen. Welcome back to Minnesota.
Well, you know what? That is Lindsay Whalen, but that is Lindsay Whalen against Katie Smith instead of college athletes and college players. That is what made that move so impressive. She did that in college, but this is a whole nother level.
She just took an all-star to the hoop, and we are tied at 22. All tied up at 22. Lindsay Whalen will head to the free throw line to try to complete a three-point play after just making her most impressive basket of the afternoon. She's only got two, a couple of layups, but it's almost like she needed to get the nerves out, get into her game, get into a rhythm a little bit, and then now the show begins.
Well, I certainly think we're not going to see the Lindsay Whalen that we saw at the University of Minnesota as much in the sense of offensively just taking the ball to the hoop and trying to score on almost every possession. She's now surrounded by a number of players that are as good and better than she is, and her job really is take advantage of her opportunities, players like Nikisha Sales, for example, but find Nikisha Sales, find the Katie Douglases, find Wendy Palmer. But it's always fun to see her in a fast break situation, and when she is open, taking those shots.
And Whalen creates the steal there. She has scored the last 5 points for the Sun here this afternoon. Trying to get free, but just look at Helen Darling playing that defense, and now Darling comes up with a steal. She's going to take it to the hole, and short on the layup, tries to get the rebound. She's knocked pretty good by Wendy Palmer, but what a great hustle play from Helen Darling.
Oh, it's great hustle play. And you know, one of the things that Helen Darling is so good at is defensively, she's just a bulldog, and she's tenacious out there, and she's been in Lindsay Whalen's shorts all afternoon. Couldn't quite finish here. Maybe a little bit of a bump, but, you know, Minnesota got the ball back. Those things happen.
Oh, and a great pass inside from Darling to Nicole Oldie, and a perfect finish for Oldie.
I'd like to see Minnesota execute like that in their half-court offense, not just when they take the ball out of bounds.
Taj off the mark. Wendy Palmer with the offensive rebound, and there'll be a jump ball called, so we'll jump it up. Helen Darling has been quite an impact player in this game.
Oh, and you watch her running the team, making passes, finding the open people. And that's why Minnesota has played better. I think really having Helen Darling on the floor, having a consistent point guard presence on the floor has helped Minnesota. With Jacobs and Darling in there instead of having Teresa Edwards in the rotation as well, it's just giving them more consistency.
Darling bringing it up the court. Nikisha Sales got behind her and knocked that one loose.
And let me qualify that by saying it's not that Teresa Edwards is not a great point guard. It's just that having 3 point guards in a rotation is very confusing when you are a team and you're trying to find some consistency out there.
Abrosimova right to the hoop. Svetlana scores her first basket of the game.
I think Minnesota just got to have the ball knocked out of bounds on the baseline every time and just run out of bounds play.
Seems to work pretty well. The Lynx leading by 3. That's Minnesota's biggest lead of the game. And there's Lindsay again driving into the lane, and she just put enough on that one to get it to roll in. And that's 7 in a row now for Lindsay. 7 straight for Connecticut as Oldie answers right back. Oldie put one that in off the glass and draws the foul, and she's got 11 points for Minnesota.
I just continue to be amazed by these rookies and how much they contribute. And again, we've seen this from Lindsay Whalen at the college level, but this is the first time we've seen it at the pro level, and it's pretty impressive. And at the other end, you see Nicole Oldie. You saw her shooting a free throw right there, but she did the same thing, coming down and playing against players like Taj McWilliams-Franklin, like Wendy Palmer, who are going to body you up and be very, very physical under the glass. She has just done an extraordinary job of producing.
Oldie not only has 12 points, she's 5 of 7 from the floor. Whalen's had the hot hand for the Sun. 7 straight points for Connecticut. Having a hard time getting into the offense, though. 5 seconds on the shot clock, and Sales will have to put up something and draws the foul. Actually, you will get called for the offensive foul. I was just about to say that's not what Minnesota wanted. But because the offensive foul is on Sales, that's number 3.
And Mike Thibault is hot over there with the officials.
Stands for the Lynx.
I think he wants some things called at both ends of the floor, wants the game to be fair. I'm not quite sure what his beef was right there, considering that Sales pretty much did charge.
The Timberwolves Gym, the official merchandise store of the Minnesota Timberwolves and Lynx, is open on the Skyway level of Target Center. Stop by and pick up all your favorite team merchandise and memorabilia. The gym's open from 10 to 6, Monday through Friday, 10 to 4 on Saturday, and before and after every home game. Probably be a lot of people stopping in there before and after this game. Let's take a look at what Mike Thibault might be arguing here.
And watch Katie Smith's position right here.
Oh, no question.
Well, and her feet weren't necessarily, people always talk about, well, you got to have your feet set. You know, they can't be moving at all. Really, you don't have to have your feet completely set. You just can't be moving your body. And Katie had maintained her position. In looking and thinking about the last play, as there's an interesting call on Lindsay Whalen as a hand check. No, it won't make him very happy. I was thinking about that he might have been angry about the charging foul, and that was Nikisha Sales' 3rd foul, which is putting her on the bench now. But instead, I think he might have just been upset about the overall aggressiveness of the Lynx defense in that last possession. It took them 30 seconds to get a shot off, and a lot of it had to do with the fact that I think he probably believes they were being mauled by the Lynx defense.
Whalen picks up her second foul of the game. Darling hits her first free throw. She's got 3 points in this game. Helen Darling, 67% from the free throw line. You talked about the point guard matchup at the very beginning of this game and said that was the one we needed to look at, and those two have really stood out, along with Nicole Oldie.
Well, it's not necessarily the matchup you would sit down and go, this is going to be the matchup of the game, but what makes it interesting is the fact that Helen Darling is so competitive.
Oh, Whalen with a beautiful crossover, but just couldn't finish with the left hand. Taj keeps it alive with the offensive rebound.
And she just continues to hound Lindsay Whalen. I mean, Darling is so competitive and continues to hound Lindsay Whalen, and Whalen is going to just continue to take it at the Lynx.
Long baseline shot is no good, but the offensive rebound and putback from Taj McWilliams-Franklin is, and that ends a 9-2 Minnesota run.
Very big bucket right there for Taj McWilliams-Franklin. Again, Lindsay Whalen finding the open player in the corner. Candace Purcell taking that shot, but Taj McWilliams crashing the boards. Now, Connecticut isn't a great offensive rebounding team. They're a great defensive rebounding team. They're second in the league in defensive rebounding like 90% of all shots missed. But Taj McWilliams is very effective at the offensive rebounding end, and they need that from her.
5 points now for Taj McWilliams-Franklin. She averages 12 in the game. Minute and a half to play before halftime. Oldie inside, right through the double team, and she'll draw the foul. Aggressive move by Nicole Oldie.
That is just an amazing move right there by Nicole Oldie, in the sense that if you would have seen Nicole Oldie play in college, she didn't play this powerful. And if you just look at her, she doesn't look that powerful. So again, you might not notice it or think it's unusual if you've never seen her, but when you look at her taking the ball here, finding the open person, reposting up against Taj McWilliams and against a player like Asia Jones, who's extremely strong, that's incredible.
Oldie, 6'5" from Kansas State. The heralded rookie, 6th overall pick, misses the first one. She's shooting 74% from the free throw line, but pretty impressive with her rookie stats. She's leading all rookies in rebounding, leading in blocks. She's really one of the best rookies in the league, and she should be with the 6th overall pick, or being the 6th pick. That's expected of her, but it's one thing to have expectations, and it's another to live up to those. I think they just turned the noise meter on in Target Center because this place just went up about 3 notches. Helen Darling again pounding Whalen, and finally she'll be called for the foul.
And Mike Tebow's over there applauding the officials right now. Yes, thank you for calling that. Thank you. One of the things that's happening right now with Lindsay, and I don't know if it's happening on purpose because her coach wants it to happen, but Lindsay's got the ball in her hands an awful lot at the offensive end in a half-court set, and she's dribbling it an awful lot. There's not a lot of passing going on, so I would imagine Mike Tebow would talk about that a little bit. Maybe Lindsay gets a little over-anxious with all of that pressure from Helen Darling defensively and kind of wants to show off some of her skills instead of just simply giving the ball up.
Whalen hits the first free throw. Helen Darling checks out of the game with a couple of fouls. And Lindsay, really, the biggest part of her game, the most impressive, has been assists. Almost 6, just under 6 per game. She's first among rookies and 3rd in the entire WNBA. And she's got 1 assist in this game, but averages just under 6. 9 points for Lindsay. Lynx working around to Abrosimova. Baseline, the spin, something. Well, I thought she was going to kick it back out. She found Oldie, 7 seconds on the shot clock, and Abrosimova has to put one up. Tamika Williams there for the offensive rebound and the putback.
And another great job by Minnesota of just crashing the boards, and it's a good shot right there for Tamika Williams, a good bucket. It would be great to see her get into the flow of the game a little more. She's been very quiet today.
Here's Whalen going to work again. Things up in that half-court offense. Picks up the double team, finds as the open player, and then inside of Abrosimova with the quick hands. And then throws it right back away, and you can just see the look on her face.
Well, and here's the greatness of Svetlana Abrosimova and also the erraticness of Svetlana Abrosimova. She makes a great instinctive move defensively and goes clear across the floor and steals the ball and then comes down to the other end and turns it over.
The Lynx playing aggressively here, and they lead the Sun by 4. 6.8 seconds left to play in the first half. Minnesota has a 4-point lead on Connecticut. And coming up at halftime, we will sit down and have a good few minutes with Lindsay Whalen, talking about her return to Minnesota and her life in the WNBA. You won't want to miss that at the half. And we'll also have your highlights and your statistics from this first half. And Andrea will track down Susie McConnell-Serio for us and get the coaches' thoughts. But overall, we didn't see Minnesota hit 34 points in the last broadcast that we did on Friday against Phoenix until, at least halfway through the second half.
Well, the fact that they are scoring more consistently throughout the course of the game is a good thing. I mean, that's when we talk about the balanced attack that they need. They need to be balanced as far as who scores. It can't just be Katie Smith, and it can't just be the starters, but they have to be balanced in the sense of scoring consistently throughout the game. Minnesota throughout this season has just had too many times where they've had scoring droughts.
Katie Smith only has 2 points in this game. She's 1 of 5 from the floor, but we have seen her go scoreless or 2-3 points in the first half and still end up leading the team. That's
certainly capable of putting 20 points on the board in one half. She did that in the first half of the last game. 6.8 seconds set left. Let's see what happens here.
Candace Futrell brings it up the court for Connecticut. Williams will try to slow her down and does. Abrosomova grabs the defensive rebound, so Connecticut does not get a basket heading into the break, but down by only 4 points. We should see a pretty electric second half.
Well, I hope it has some more flow to it. I think we've seen some exciting things from both of these teams in the sense of capabilities of running the ball and of scoring and doing wonderful things. Been too many breaks. I mean, a couple of injuries, a couple of problems with the officials having to check things out. So I'd like to see more flow in the second half. It could be a great finish.
Been a lot of surge and drought here so far in the first half. Lindsay Whalen and the Sun go into the locker room down by 4 to the Lynx. Back at Target Center in downtown Minneapolis, it is halftime between the Minnesota Lynx and the Connecticut Sun. And Minnesota native Lindsay Whalen joins us now for a couple of minutes. And I have seen you only in town since Monday, but I've seen you have autograph signings, press conferences, radio interviews, appearances. Are you exhausted?
No, not really. You know, it's just part of, coming to town, and no, I'm really not that tired at all. I've tried to get a lot of sleep, and building up before I came back, I tried to just rest and kind of lay low and not do a whole lot before I came out here, and so I'm doing pretty well and excited obviously, for the game.
And you played your final game at Minnesota at the Final Four. Pretty much 2 weeks later, you're drafted and you start your pro career. So you didn't have the break that you've had the last few years. Has that been tough?
Well, I think that's something, I obviously got sick a while ago, and I think that it just kind of wears on your body a little bit, but that's the way it is, and you just kind of have to, get through it, and I'll be able to rest this winter a little bit, so it hasn't been too bad. It's definitely been fun, and it's been exciting, so I've liked the opportunity and have liked what we've done and where I'm at.
And as you sit here today, is your game different or better than we would have seen you play at Minnesota?
It's tough to say. I think I'm in a different system, and it's a different style of play, and so it probably is a little different. But I mean, I'm not trying to do anything too different. I mean, I don't shoot as much. I try to get everyone involved, and that's kind of my role as a point guard. And I'm still active. I still get in the lane. But obviously at Minnesota, I was taking a lot of shots, and so it might be a little different. But I mean, it's not. Hopefully, it's for the better in that case.
Has your Gopher coach, Pam Borton, caught any of your games or given you any advice?
She probably saw a few of the games that are on TV, but she's just said to keep working hard and keep doing what they're asking me to do, and keep just trying to fulfill my role. And so yeah, she's definitely been there with a few good pieces of advice.
And when you're in college, and you're in classes with your teammates and your coaches, you're going to practice, you're traveling. Is there anyone or anything that you miss now that you really didn't realize you would?
I think I miss kind of just the players on the team, and just obviously my friends here, my family. So there's things you're gonna miss every time you, I guess, leave and go off. But I think that it's definitely helped me, I guess, kind of grow and just grow into this league, into the game, and so. But there's obviously things I miss, yeah.
And last week on Friday, Diana Taurasi was here with Phoenix, and there were a lot of people in the stands here at Target Center with their Taurasi jerseys. Have you seen Whalen jerseys pop up around the country?
Yeah, Yeah, every once in a while I see them. There's some in Connecticut, and so yeah, they're out there. I've seen a few 13 jerseys.
And now that you are in Connecticut, really away from home for the first time, now back in Minnesota, does it make you appreciate things a little bit more in this state?
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously, that's where I'm from, and I've always, I think, appreciated it and appreciated, Minnesota and the people. But obviously, coming back gives you a chance to see everyone and really appreciate, everyone and everything. And so I've definitely really enjoyed that.
And your biggest struggle, I know things have been good for you, but what's the biggest thing that you've struggled with in transitioning from college to the WNBA?
Well, I think it's just a lot faster, and I think that everyone's a little bit stronger. And me, coming in, I think all the rookies are just kind of trying to get used to the game and just trying to, figure out their role and figure out where they can help the team. And so it's a different game and it's a different style. So I think just adjusting to that.
Well, we thank you for stopping by here. We want to wish you the best of luck all the way through the season.
All right, thank you.
All right, Lindsay Whalen for the Connecticut Sun. We'll have the second half between the Sun and the Lynx coming up next right here on Fox Sports Net. Minnesota Golden Gopher women's basketball team right there. Shannon Bolden and the crew, Coach Pam Borton being honored at halftime. The women's volleyball team was here as well. Women's hockey. Minnesota Recognition Day today. There's Mike Hebert, head coach of the volleyball team, with Lindsay Whalen in town. But we've got a 4-point game here at halftime, a game that Connecticut really decided and dictated the tempo from the start, but we've seen it go both ways.
Well, it's fun to watch the Sun because they run so much, and the game has been kind of erratic in the sense there's been so many stops, but they rely heavily on Sales for outside looks. I'd love to see them get her some more looks here in the second half, and I'm sure Mike Thibault would love that same thing as well. They also rely on their inside-outside game. I like it when they get that kind of flow going. Their offense flows much, much better. And then, of course, Lindsay Whalen in the open floor has been certainly exciting to watch. She's just such a great finisher, and I think we've seen that. They're being led by Lindsay Whalen with 9 points right now, and the Lynx as well are being led by a rookie in Nicole Oldie. She's just had some phenomenal inside moves and knocked down some easy looks. I think I've been most impressed with the fact that she's played with such great power and really has held this team up in the first half without really much of a presence from Katie Smith, who you see here scoring her only 2 points. It's been Nicole Oldie, and then it's also been some subs off the bench. Subs like Amanda Lassiter, who's hit some big shots. But other bench players have made some really great plays. So I'm really interested, actually, after this half, to ask Susie about how they're going to get Katie more involved in the second half, because I think they really do need her to be involved. Obviously, they're capable of winning a game without having Katie Smith score a ton of points, but I think they'd like to have her get in more of a groove.
They've relied on Oldie and her 13 points, who leads all scorers, but to get that inside-out game going, Katie Smith with the 2 points, I don't see her having anywhere less than 10. I'll say right now, my prediction is at least 10.
Well, you always want to get your star player into the groove of the game. You don't ever want to see him frustrated, but you have to understand that Mike Thibault talked a lot about Katie and Tamika when he talked about the Minnesota Lynx. We do not want those 2 players to go off, and I think that the other thing he didn't want to have happen is, in guarding those 2 players and taking them out of the flow of the game, he didn't want other players for the Lynx that were kind of secondary players to have great games, but he didn't count on Nicole Oldie doing the things that she's doing today, I think.
Exactly that. So Connecticut's defensive philosophy has worked so far in stopping Katie Smith, holding her to just 2 points. Lindsay Whalen has 9 at the half. She's leading Connecticut. We've got ourselves a 4-point game. We'll have your statistics from the first half, as well as an interview with head coach Susie McConnell-Serio of the Lynx. When we come back, you're watching Lynx basketball on Fox Sports Net. Away from starting the second half here at Target Center. Let's go to Andrea Lloyd-Curry. She's with the Lynx head coach.
Thank you, Marney. Susie, you have to be pretty pleased with your team in the first half, but what you talk about in the locker room?
We just talked about coming out with the same energy we had defensively, but we got to do a better job of stopping penetration. Made a few adjustments on how we'll defend screens on the ball. Rebounding will be key in the second half.
Tell me how you're going to get Katie more involved. I'm assuming you want her more involved in the offense. She just has 2 points now. How do you do that in the second half?
Well, we run offenses for her. We run sets where she's coming off the screens to make sure we have the ball in her hands as much as we can. But Katie has the green light to step up and take shots when she can.
All right, great. Good luck in the second half. Marney, back to you.
Andrea, thank you. Susie McConnell-Serio, thank you as well. Your first half stats look pretty even right down the board, except for one that is sticking out. Points off turnovers. Minnesota has 12 compared to Connecticut's 2 points off turnovers. Everything else, the field goal percentage, three-pointers, free throws, pretty even. And actually the turnovers for Minnesota only having 5 is a stat that Susie and the rest of the Lynx have got to be pretty impressed with at this point. 10 turnovers for Connecticut. Second half is just about to start here. Katie Smith, as you heard Susie say, has the green light all season long to step up and take a shot. She's pretty smart, though, Andrea. She knows when it's time to take those shots and knows when to not force them.
She's certainly not a player that's going to force things out on the floor. And here you see she's got some great support from her teammates here over the past few games. And even though she has scored some, had over 30 points the other night and 20 points in the last 6 or 7 games, I believe, each game, she's very intelligent. She waits for her time, waits to see when she's open. And again, she's got a lot of defensive pressure on her tonight. And I think she's comfortable letting her teammates play, letting them take those shots. But she's always in the game, and you can't let your guard down with Katie Smith.
No, that's true. Smith had 34 points on Sunday against Sacramento in Minnesota's overtime win, the last game for the Lynx. And we should mention a stat that we really haven't picked up on too much is Taj McWilliams-Franklin with 11 rebounds in the first half. For Connecticut, that sets a team record. But to hit the board, Susie even said rebounds will be key in the second half. And so far, Connecticut has controlled things on the board and gotten things in Taj's hands.
Taj's hands. The ball has been in Taj's hands on the rebounds. That's key. She has really anchored, I think, the inside play for the Sun throughout the year. And she's, again, just such a great veteran and so talented. Really probably one of the underrated players in the WNBA and has always been. But she goes out night in and night out. I think she's been in double figures in the last 5 or 6 games, playing very, very well, averaging 14 points, and does something crucial for Mike Thibault. She rebounds, and she rebounds very well. And guess what happens when you rebound well? You're allowed to run the ball very well. And finally, the second half is going to get started.
Hey, good stall, Andrea. I got up, laughed, walked around, got some popcorn. There's a problem.
I'm glad to have the chance to talk about Taj. I don't think enough people talk about Taj. I mean, there's so many great players on this Connecticut team. There's so much hype around Lindsay. There's a player like Nikisha Sales that in Connecticut is a goddess because she went to UConn and was such a great star there. So Taj gets talked about very little.
Well, you did her justice. Whalen inside, her first touch of the second half, her first shot short off the rim. Offensive rebound, though, by Sales. 2 of them, actually. And finally, that ball controlled by Helen Darling and the Lynx.
Great job by Helen Darling. Obviously, they talked at halftime. Connecticut did about maybe posting Lindsay up against Darling, who has a size disadvantage, and went right after her.
Speaking of going right after it, Nicole Oldie inside, putting up the shot. She'll head to the free throw line for a couple of shots.
I always like watching teams when they come out at the half because obviously they've talked about things in the locker room and they have set plays when they come out most of the time. And, for Minnesota, that's smart to go to your hot player, to go to a player like Nicole Oldie, who's just been very effective on the post. And I like Mike Thibault's thinking as well with posting up Lindsay Whalen.
Oldie has 13 points as that one rattles out. And the Lynx, 8 wins at home this season are the most in the WNBA. They've won 4 straight at home. But the bad news is 10 of the Lynx final 15 games will be on the road. And so far, Minnesota has only won 1 single game away from this building.
Yeah, in the past, it's actually been different than that for the Lynx. The Lynx have been a very good road team, but haven't been able to win at home. This year, 8 of their 9 wins are at home. Great anticipation by Taj, who I just spoke so highly of.
And Taj McWilliams-Franklin finishes it off with the left hand, taking her cue from Andrea there.
I think just reading the defense right there, reading the offense, and again, Minnesota has moments where they become very, very stagnant and get in trouble.
And right there, that pass went right off the hands of Katie Smith. Just kind of lazy play.
It is, and it's a look by Tamika Williams. A cross-court pass like that is always dangerous because the defense can jump into the passing lanes. Connecticut's very good at that. They have some quick players. Just got to take care of the basketball.
Whalen gets free from Darling, and the shot is off the backboard, but it was a great cut from Whalen and a great look from Taj. And there's a great look. Katie Smith finds Tamika Williams, and Williams reverses it, kisses off the glass.
This Minnesota Lynx team is going to go to the next level when Tamika Williams starts playing like that every single minute of the game, which is always a threat. She cannot hide. Great look by Katie, but a nice job by Tamika of making herself available and finishing.
And that one goes off the hands of Katie Douglas, so turnover for one side, turnover for the other.
There's a reason that Mike Tebow says slow Katie down, slow Tamika down. He knows the potential of those two players right there that work together very well to get a bucket. And I'm not sure that Tamika understands her value out there. I mean, I'm not sure she understands how much more she could do.
There we go. Katie lights it up. A long two-pointer, but Smith now has 4 points. And with making that last play, making the pass on the last play, has made a pretty big impact here just in the first couple of minutes of the second half.
Exactly. The only thing that happens when, great move right there by Wendy Palmer down low. When Tamika begins to hide, and she don't say her name very often, that's probably not what you want. That's not what Susan McConnell-Serio wants. How about Wendy Palmer? She's just revived her career. Had a great career going at Detroit for a long time, went to Orlando and played. Had a really, really tough year in a lot of different ways last year. Really was a non-factor for the Sun, and has come out this year and just played extremely, extremely well.
Wendy Palmer at the line. She's shooting 83%. First one rolls out. Be sure to take advantage of the Lynx Scare 11 meal deal. For $11, you'll get 1 lower-level game ticket, a hot dog, a small Pepsi, and a box of hot tamales. The next Scare 11 meal deal is available for the Sacramento game this Sunday night. For tickets, visit lynxbasketball.com or call 877-WNBA-TIS. The Lynx have a 6-point lead. They are pretty dominant here at home with those 8 wins. Here's Edwards back in the game, looking across for Smith, off her hands, but Oldie chases it down.
I like the energy of Minnesota right now. There's 10 seconds on the shot clock. They're just not executing that well offensively. To translate that energy into execution.
Darling trying to dribble free, but runs into a brick wall, and then she'll pick up the foul, reaching in after the rebound there.
It's probably just a little bit of a frustration foul. She's kind of at 5'6", stuck in the middle of all those trees against Connecticut on that last play, and kind of forced to take the shot because the shot clock was running down. You get frustrated when those things happen.
That's 3 fouls now on Helen Darling, but you wouldn't expect her to back up at all defensively or let up on Lindsay Whalen. She's been hounding her the entire game. We would expect nothing less.
But watch how much the Sun have spread out their offense now. Lindsay has the ball in her hands much less. But you can still be effective even if you get it just once in a possession.
She proves that they're effective. Lindsay Whalen now with 11 points.
And that's a great example of you don't have to dribble around at the top and go one-on-one to get a great look and a really acrobatic move by Lindsay.
Williams underneath, breaks free and bounces that one around and in. Tamika Williams, 8 points now in this game.
A really nice pass and look right there by the 2 of those players.
Whalen dumps that one out for Sales. Screen coming from Wendy Palmer, and Palmer and Katie Smith get caught up there. That was a fine how do you do. Little shove.
Well, Wendy Palmer went over to set a on-the-ball screen for Nikisha Sales, who's just been tremendous using the screens and finding ways to score. And Katie just, I think she thought her best option might be just to wrap up Wendy Palmer and not let Nikisha even get a look.
Taj takes the jump shot, and Oldie pulls down the rebound. Darling pushed things up the other way. Into the lane, Helen nowhere to go. Finds Oldie. 20 seconds on the clock, and Edwards will take the long 2. Here's Katie Douglas, who we haven't seen a lot from since early on in the first half, but a nice pass underneath to McWilliams-Franklin, and Taj connects, and there's a loose ball. Oldie almost lost it. And then you just cannot take a breath against this Connecticut team.
Oh, you can't. I'm going to repeat myself. Connecticut and Minnesota are 2 of the hardest working teams in the league. It's very difficult to play against them.
Smith around on the dribble, stops and rolls out. Oldie offensive rebound, but she's pounded on the inside, and jump ball will be called with Katie Douglas and Oldie. So into the second half, the Lynx still hold a 4-point lead on the Sun. basketball on Fox Sports Net is presented by U.S. Bank, proud sponsor and the official bank of the Minnesota Lynx. And by Verizon Wireless. We never stop working for you. Minnesota has a 4-point lead on Connecticut, and Nicole Oldie has been leading this team 13 points, 8 rebounds. She's just 2 boards shy of a double-double. And Tamika Williams has 8 points. It's been Oldie and Williams who have provided the bulk of the offense for Minnesota.
Certainly in the first half, Oldie was tremendous, and she's continuing to play and be a force in the second half. But Tamika Williams, the way she's come out and just had some really good production and put some points on the board, provided some screens, done great things, and not hid has been key.
Connecticut goes right inside, right to work. But Wendy Palmer has that one go off, and then Palmer ends up on the ground.
That was an odd play right there. I mean, Wendy Palmer went up to take the shot. The ball rebounded to the other side, and we might get another look at this, but it was just odd because Katie Smith kind of was going underneath the basket, and they kind of ran into each other.
Like everyone was moving in slow motion.
Well, Palmer
they
goes
are
up
here.
against Oldie. And then you see right here, oh, there you go. Oldie just comes down with her arm. That's a Lisa Leslie trick right there. I've learned that from Lisa Leslie.
That's Oldie's 3rd foul. Whalen is hounded up top. Finally gets that one free. Palmer has it now at the top of the key. And Nikisha Sales inside, looking for some room there is Taj McWilliams-Franklin. The one step is up and rolls out. Nice move from Taj, but she couldn't finish. And look at Oldie running the court. Nicole Oldie dumped it off to Williams. Oh, and she couldn't finish.
And that's a shame. How about that? 6'5", able to run the floor and take care of the basketball.
And the Lynx don't take care of it there, turn it over. But Oldie's kind of like Kevin Garnett. She can play every position. Collision in the lane, travel called on Connecticut. I've never seen her bring the ball up in a transition type like that. A 2-on-1 situation. She made a great pass, too.
She did make a great pass. And Nicole Oldie's very comfortable and pretty much anywhere on the floor. She's one of those big players that's really prototypical, very much like Lauren Jackson for the Seattle Storm, who's a little bit older and a little bit more experienced, possibly a little bit more talented, but certainly with the capability of doing so many things on the basketball court. And she's not shy. You know, hey, if there's an open lane and it's a 2-on-1, she's not afraid to dribble.
In baseline, here's Lassiter with it. Draws a double team, kicks it out to Oldie. Looking for some room here. 10 seconds on the shot clock, and the Lynx are nowhere near the basket right now. Smith has it now. 5 into the lane. Katie Smith comes up with a great basket there. 8 points for Katie Smith. 6 points for Katie.
And really nice pressure right there by Helen Darling and Tamika Williams, just picking people up in the full court situation, causing a turnover. But check this out, Katie Smith, shot clock running down, just penetrates to the middle. You know, that honestly, I think that's open earlier in the shot clock. Not necessarily to go one-on-one, but again, Minnesota sometimes becomes this passing team instead of an attacking team.
Oldie alone underneath, a great find from Katie Smith, but the defense came over in a hurry.
Minnesota's done a very nice job of getting the Sun out of their offensive flow here in the second half. They really haven't been able to run the ball much or even pass it easily. They're really in their grill defensively.
We haven't seen it since the opening tip. Wendy Palmer into the lane. She'll head to the free throw line to shoot a couple, but it was the first couple of minutes of this game when Connecticut was flying up and down the court, and Minnesota was playing right along, but since then, we haven't really seen that pace.
No, we haven't seen that pace. Some of it's been dictated by, you know, just outside factors, things going on in the game. It's been slowed down. A lot of conversations with the coaches and officials today.
Oh, you know, the refs love that.
I'll tell you what, it may not look like it on TV, but I guarantee you it is a very physical game out there.
If you are a member of AAA, call or visit the Target Center box office and save up to 50% off the regular price of select Lynx games. Plus, your AAA card can help you save on everything from car washes and restaurants to travel and clothing. If you're not a member, visit AAA.com or your local AAA office to join. Palmer made the first one and the second. Shooting 83% from the line. Wendy averages 11 points per game. She's got 5 in this one here this afternoon. Smith, the long two-pointer, and look at the touch from Katie Smith. You could see it the way she held her wrist on that shot. She knew that one was going in.
You can just tell with players like Katie Smith, you know, when they're in their groove and in the flow, they're going to make it.
Sales with the bullet pass underneath. But Candace Futrell couldn't quite handle that one. That's a rookie from Duquesne, Futrell is, and you think she's got to kind of grow accustomed to passes like that coming from players like Sales.
Mike Thibault has quite a few rookies on this team. In fact, he has 5 that come off the bench, and it's been an interesting experience, I think, for all of them to try to, you know, very much like Lindsay, get in the flow of the WNBA game where it's faster.
Lassiter from the baseline is well off, but runs it down, and you see the face she made there? Like, oops, what was that?
And there's an official timeout here. And I think just the officials questioning something, wanting to make sure that...
Or maybe was that out of bounds because it hit the side of the backboard?
Yeah.
That's my first thought.
Yes.
But again, conferring to get the call right.
Exactly, and I'm not quite sure what she was questioning. I'm not sure Mike Thibault knows what she was questioning.
This has not been a good afternoon for Mike Thibault. Smith working on Sales. 5 on the shot clock. Lassiter gets inside to Oldie, and that's his last touch by Nicole off her fingertips.
You know, that's not a good angle to pass the ball down there, and that's what happens when you kind of run the offense and pass the ball around the horn for about 20 seconds, and then you're forced in the last 10 seconds to try to make something happen. You feel rushed, and sometimes good things happen, like Katie's bucket in the last possession or 2 possessions ago, and sometimes bad things happen, like turnovers like that one.
And the Lynx only had 6 turnovers at the half. Palmer off the glass nicely. The Lynx had 6 turnovers at halftime, and now they have 11. It didn't take long to pick up a quick few here in the second half. Darling loses your good friend there, Debbie Black. There's Smith again. Short, but that one bounces in. A 3-pointer for Katie Smith.
Katie's in such a great place right now. I've played with, against, and watched Katie a long time, and she is really playing calmly and smoothly, not playing with a chip on her shoulder like she can sometimes, and it shows.
Katie has scored the last 7 points for Minnesota. There's Sales trying to put in a long 2. Lassiter hauls down the rebound and gives it right up to Debbie Black.
I hate to laugh, but Debbie Black being out there is just, it's annoying. She's so good at just making things happen because it's kamikaze time. She goes out there and throws her whole body and being into the game.
Well, they don't call her the Tasmanian Devil for nothing.
The whole 5'3" of her. For years and years she's done that.
Tasmanian Devil, the Pest. She loves those names too, you know it. Battling underneath, Williams tries to keep that rebound alive. But that ball will go back over to Connecticut. Katie Smith trying to lead the Lynx here to another victory. Minnesota leads by 5. Marney Gellner and Andrea Lloyd-Curry back at Target Center. 11:06 left to play in the game. Minnesota is up by 5. Thanks in big part to Katie Smith, who was 1 of 5 in the first half, but has gone 4 of 6 in the second half.
When we talked to Mike Thibault yesterday about Katie Smith, or about the Lynx team, he just said it all starts with Katie Smith, and Katie Smith is on a roll right now. Maybe you didn't see that in the first half. With Mike Thibault, what he said is, you know, she made 6 3-pointers in the game before today's game. She's going to make every look she gets. The problem is, the first half she didn't get any looks. This second half, she's getting more looks, partly because she's being a little more assertive, but partly, I think, because the Sun defense has gotten off of her a little bit and maybe given her a couple extra inches to shoot, and you can't do that with Katie.
You cannot give her an inch. Katie went to the locker room with 2 points, and she now has 11. Palmer underneath. Oh, she's stuffed by Oldie. Great play from Nicole Oldie. Leads the rookies in blocks in the WNBA this season. She got a good one there on Wendy Palmer.
And she provides that presence inside in the paint for the Minnesota. They've never had that in all of their existence until they had Nicole Oldie.
There's an offensive foul there called on the Lynx. And it just seems like when we get into any sort of rhythm, the foul comes on Helen Darling.
This wasn't a foul, though.
Just like that.
But that play right there wasn't a foul, as you see. Nicole Oldie just take it at the veteran Palmer. Hasn't she been amazing in just her poise? I mean, it's been incredible to me. I think there were so many people that questioned whether she could play at this level. And if she hasn't proven them wrong, I don't know what else she needs to do. Along with Lindsay Whalen and Taurasi, the best 3 rookies in the league.
Agreed. Here's Palmer swarmed underneath, and she is fouled by Oldie, and Oldie does not like that call. I'm just guessing.
I don't think she necessarily agrees with it. She kind of went for the block.
That's going to be the 4th foul on Nicole.
I'll tell you something, though, about veterans and Wendy Palmer. I was smiling earlier and chuckling to myself earlier as Wendy Palmer was making some moves, because Wendy Palmer's an older player, a veteran player that probably doesn't look like she has lightning speed or incredible athleticism, but she's very, very smart and very, very skilled. And you know, she may get her shot blocked once by Nicole Oldie, but it's probably not going to happen 2 times in a row, and that's just because she's a veteran and knows what to do.
Palmer has been in the WNBA since 1997. Probably when Nicole Oldie was middle school. Debbie Black flying all over the court. Oldie underneath, turns around, can't find anywhere to go, kicks it out. Lassiter puts it right back inside to Oldie. She'll kick it out to Amber Jacobs. Jacobs drains the 3.
And that's just a great little offensive set right there. You get the ball inside to Nicole Oldie. She had nothing. She forced nothing. And you kick it back out. That inside-outside game. Team game, balanced attack.
It opens up so many things. The Lynx played it to perfection there. Palmer again inside. That one rolls out. Jacobs jumped a little too early for the rebound. And Katie Douglas threw that one away, just trying to get it across to Whalen, and Connecticut is all in a muck.
Yes, there's no flow to the Connecticut offense, and I really haven't seen one since the second half began. Again, the Minnesota team is doing a great job defensively, really pressuring the Minnesota or the Sun players, and they just can't reverse the ball easily. They're not getting easy looks on the low block.
Jacobs handling the point guard duties while Helen Darling sits out with 4 fouls. Lovelace Tolbert, top of the key, taking a key from the fan who said, shoot it, yelling from behind us, and
There's
she
about
did.
15,000 fans thinking the same thing.
Inside the baseline, Asia Jones.
Right now's a time Minnesota can't get lazy. And if you look at Susie McConnell-Serio, she's pretty intense on the sideline. I mean, she knows possessions like this are important. You don't want to give them back in the game.
Whalen into some traffic, just had to throw that one up. It does her job by drawing the foul.
For me, as an ex-player, it's odd to watch a game like this, or to be in a situation where I see the last possession where there was an offensive rebound and maybe a little bit of letdown on Minnesota's behalf against the Sun. But it's this weird thing. It's like a sense that you have of the game. Like, this is the moment where you really have to step up and make sure you buckle down on everything.
Whalen now has 12 points in this game.
And when you're a player, the opposing team, and a player like Lindsay Whalen, that's the time when you have great instincts where you smell blood and you go at them and you attack.
Just under 9 minutes left to play in this game. And, Whalen can put up the points. She was the leading scorer for Connecticut in the Sun's last game, Sunday, 13 points. So she can put up the numbers. It's not her main role. She's got 13 for number 13 here this afternoon. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Katie Smith behind the back into the lane, dishes it off to Williams, and Tamika wasn't quite ready for that one.
Well, and once again, Minnesota gets to the point where they pass the ball around and just, I hate to put it this way, but I don't know of another way to put it. You just kind of waste time for the first 20 seconds, and then you're forced in the last 10 seconds to,
scramble.
Have 10 seconds, scramble. Sometimes it's successful, lots of times it's not.
Well, the one person you want to have the ball in those situations is Katie Smith, and she has the last couple. But you saw that last one resulted in a turnover. Connecticut will try to answer. Katie Douglas with 4 on the shot clock. Debbie Black will take it from the baseline, and Black drains her first basket of the game.
And I will tell you, Connecticut is the one that is doing that as well offensively. They're using so much time just passing the ball around. That time, Katie Douglas did a great job of just attacking the hoop and getting the bucket, a rare bucket for Debbie Black.
It's an 8-2 run for Connecticut, and another turnover. Minnesota throws that one away. Here comes Douglas. Whalen inside to Taj. Left-handed dribble to the hoop, and that one's not enough. Asia Jones there for the offensive rebound. Another loose ball. And finally, Amber Jacobs tracks it down.
Susie McConnell-Serio is over there going, Amber, Amber, slow it down, as Amber sprints down the court.
Right faster. Smith kicks it out. There's Jacobs open for three. Can she hit two in a row? No, that one is short. Timeout on the court with 6:59 left to play. The Lynx lead the Sun by 2. Lindsay Whalen leads Connecticut with 15 points, and it has been a close game the entire way.
It certainly has. I think we saw a little in the first half of the Lindsay Whalen-like moves, those dazzling moves she makes. She's really led her team very, very well today. And it's a very, very close game. It's only a 2-point game right now, but a lot of it has been due to her ability to break down the defense and take the ball to the hoop.
Time now for our game summary presented by KLBB. It's The Good Life on AM 1440 and 1470. And there you see Whalen's 15 points, 1 assist, 5 of 10 from the floor. And Nicole Oldie has 18 points, 10 rebounds. She has led the Lynx this afternoon, no question about it, as Sales hits her first free throw.
Certainly been impressive in the paint, and I'm glad to see Tamika Williams back in the game now for this crucial stretch, because she played very well in the early part of the second half, and I think could be key to Minnesota's victory.
Offensive rebound for Asia Jones, 2 of them, and both chances roll off the rim. And those are the ones you have to convert when you're only 3.5 minutes left in a game when you're down by 1.
Well, those are mental mistakes that a coach never wants to see. You're at the free throw line. All you have to do is box out, keep your position. That's just a mental mistake. Got to take care of the little things, because they will hurt you in close games like this over the long stretch.
Whalen kicks it out. Katie Douglas behind the arc for 3. Loose ball, and that one will go stay with Connecticut.
And that was tremendous hustle right there by a couple of the Sun players just to go after that ball. It's really the first time I've seen Lindsay penetrate, maybe the second time I've seen Lindsay penetrate and kick out to Katie Douglas in that case. And I think her assists obviously are down. She only has 1 this game. I think normally throughout the year she's been penetrating and kicking the ball off a lot more.
Great defense from Jacobs to knock that ball out of bounds. And I think we've seen just in the last couple minutes, both teams just rise up, pick up the intensity, defense, offense, and suddenly it's almost like everyone looked at the clock and said, oh, 3 minutes?
Everybody did look at the clock. We looked at the clock and said, oh my gosh, 3 minutes, it's a 2-point game.
Jones from the free throw line hits the jumper. Asia Jones making it look pretty easy.
Big shot. She has, again, given so much to this Connecticut team in her consistency and her demeanor and her character, but that was a big shot.
4 points now for Jones. She averages 8 for the Sun. Williams has the ball now. Out to Katie Smith, who's hounded by Sales, and they'll call the foul on Nikisha.
Yikes. That hurts. Again, Asia Jones.
Going to be number 4.
Oh, yeah. And Asia Jones. Remember, she was just traded from Washington this year, so it's her first year with the Connecticut team. It takes a little while to get into the groove, to figure out where you can find your shots. She found that one pretty easily.
And to get past all the hype and hoopla of being a UConn player who is now back in Connecticut.
Definitely. And look at her going against her teammate down low right there.
Smith short on the 3-pointer. Lassiter tries to keep it alive.
And they're going to call a foul on Lindsay Whalen right there. That was a great job by Amanda Lassiter to hit the offensive boards when she was guarded by Lindsay Whalen. She has a great height advantage. Lindsay Whalen is just 5'8". And of course Lassiter over 6 feet.
Amber Jacobs with the ball, 2.5 to play. Inside she goes. Oldie working it inside and in in the lane, and Oldie will will draw the foul on Taj.
That's a pretty good job, yeah.
And that's the person you want to go to right now.
It is, you know, and again, Connecticut has changed up who's guarding Nicole Oldie. Remember early on it was Palmer. She did a great job. They put Asia Jones on her, couldn't get a stop. They've now put Taj McWilliams-Franklin.
It is within reach, fans. Lower level, full and half-season tickets connect you with the Timberwolves of never before. Call now to talk with a sales representative. 1-800-WOLVES-1. You get to see players like Troy Hudson there all season long.
Another key rebound by Amanda Lassiter. She just has been doing this game after game for the Lynx, been a key part of comebacks and big moments.
Lassiter with the ball now. She's really embraced that role, too, coming off the bench. It's an adjustment to go from a starter, but once you figure out that you can still be valuable, it makes a difference. Tamika Williams makes a difference underneath, driving in and hitting that one right off the glass. Williams now has 10 points. She's in double figures. Sales lost it, got it again, shot it. Kept alive there for Connecticut, and the Sun will have 15 seconds to work with on the shot clock.
You know, Tamika, what I like about her is just her ability, when she's in the game, to not have any hesitations. And against Asia Jones, who's an ex-teammate at Connecticut, she knew exactly what she needed to do to beat Asia Jones in that situation. She's done that, I'm sure, hundreds and hundreds of times in practice over the years. She looked real comfortable.
Yeah, you could see by the smile on her face. 10 points, 6 rebounds for Tamika Williams, who is just a solid night-in, night-out player. She averages 7 points, 7 rebounds. She shoots 53% from the floor. Well, last year she set a record in the entire WNBA with 66.8%. She's UConn's all-time leader in field goal percentage, 70%. She's just that solid, consistent player.
She is Miss Solid, and I think the one thing she has to be careful of is falling into that role too much. I mean, being solid and being known as a role player is great, and doing things consistently is great, but she's a star for this team, and she needs to play like a star.
We'll see what happens here in the closing minute and a half of this game. Minnesota's up by 2. Connecticut with the ball. Here's Whalen coming out that screen left side. She's going up against Oldie, and that one rolls off the back of the backboard. Taj McWilliams-Franklin has the offensive board. Sales misses, and Lassiter grabs the defensive rebound.
That's a good look for Sales right there. Somebody needs to get back on defense.
Williams open all alone down court, had to fight just to save that one. Lassiter puts up the 3.
And that was just not a probably very smart shot. Should have used a little bit of time off the clock.
Douglas drives into the lane, and the blocking foul called on Minnesota. Tamika Williams.
Good aggressiveness right there by Katie Douglas, and a nice job by the Sun just to take advantage of a situation, come down the floor, and get a quick look. You see Katie Douglas, left-handed. Tamika trying to step out there and stop her, but a little too late.
Douglas heads to the free throw line, shooting 76% from the line. She's a graduate of Purdue University, won the 1999 NCAA championship. I could still see that vision of her throwing the ball into the air at the end of the game.
Yep.
She called that her greatest basketball memory.
Yep.
Greatest moment of her career.
I'll tell you what, you don't want to put some of these Sun players at the line, and Katie Douglas is one of them towards the end of the game. They have been clutch in very tough games throughout this season so far.
Shooting 74% from the line as a team. Susie McConnell-Serio calls the timeout, wants to talk things over, tied at 60 and exactly 1 minute to play. And we saw the last couple of possessions not really utilized very well by either team. A quick 3 for Minnesota, not a great shot for Connecticut. And these are the times when you need to really take a little bit more advantage of every single possession here in the last minute.
You do have to take advantage, and especially this year. I mean, look at this. This talks about the parity. You look at the standings, and if you're a casual observer of the WNBA, you kind of go, gosh, everybody's kind of tied up there in the middle. But there's great parity, and a lot of games decided by 3 or less, 21%. 9% of games have gone into overtime. 35% of games decided by 10 points or more. It's been a really odd year. People beating people any given night. What I think, you know, tonight it's interesting to watch this last minute because it's tied right now, and you wonder, the Sun might have the advantage because they've had more games that have been close. They've played more close games than the Minnesota Lynx have. They possibly are more confident and able to execute down the stretch, but the Lynx have great confidence after the last few comeback games.
Smith driving, kicks it out, baseline to Lassiter, up top to Jacobs. 13 seconds left on the shot clock. The Lynx trying to get a good look here. Williams underneath with 7 to go. A nice pass to Katie Smith, and she is hammered by Taj McWilliams-Franklin. No question about that foul.
Hey, this was an amazing backdoor cut by Katie Smith. I'm not sure what happened with Katie Douglas defensively, but she just totally lost her. Looked like a pretty clean block. But I think they should get the foul just because Katie Douglas lost her player with 37 seconds left in the game. You can't do that.
Smith hits the first one. Katie Smith is the one you want at the free throw line. 90% from the line, second in the WNBA. And she started the season making 23 straight free throws. Knocks them both down there to give Minnesota a 2-point lead. So this possession here for Connecticut is critical. Here comes the crowd. Fans rising to their feet. Whalen gives it up to Sales. Sales drives. She's bottled up there by Katie Smith. Finds Katie Douglas. Douglas will get the open two-pointer and rolls out. Defensive rebound by Oldie. Well, that was big. Nicole Oldie comes up with a defensive rebound. That ball was loose, banging around, and Nicole Oldie got her 11th rebound of the game.
It was a huge rebound, and it was a great look by Katie Douglas. Nice little up fake, got a good open look, just couldn't knock it down. But again, Nicole Oldie coming up big in the paint.
And Taj McWilliams-Franklin has just fouled out of the game. So Connecticut will be without Taj and her 12 points per game, and a starter, a very big player on this team, and she will sit out the last 18.2 seconds.
That's unfortunate just because she's such a good offensive rebounder and definitely somebody that can score on the block when the Sun get the ball back in this next possession. But again, I just have to talk about Nicole Oldie. What a fantastic job she's done, and her progression has been fantastic as well throughout the course of the season. Early on in the season, she was able to kind of hang with some of the better players in the WNBA, the post players. Now she's able to get the better of players like Taj McWilliams-Franklin, and that is impressive.
Oldie knocks them both down from the free throw line. 21 points for Nicole Oldie. She's made 9 of her 14 free throws. None bigger than those two right there. Nicole Oldie, the rookie, has carried Minnesota. The Lynx lead by 4. A 4-point lead for Minnesota. Mike Thibault and Connecticut strategizing, trying to figure out how to get a quick basket and probably a foul right here and hope that Minnesota would struggle at the free throw line so Connecticut can have a shot here with 18 seconds left to go.
The center very comfortable at a frenetic pace like we've talked about. So taking a quick shot, they'll be comfortable doing this, and they have a lot of options.
Douglas to Wendy Palmer. Palmer will take it. The long three. Gets her own rebound now. The 2 for Palmer. That one's also off. Loose ball. Again, the Sun, another chance. Nikisha Sales. That one won't go. Whalen, offensive rebound, and the basket.
Wow.
Lindsay Whalen in the right spot, right time, grabbed the rebound, put it back, and she drew the foul. A chance for a 3-point play.
Super effort by all of the Connecticut players right there, just continuing to stick with the play. Took a couple of shots, you know, not great shots because they were hard and they came off the rim, but look at her. Lindsay Whalen with her arm being held by the opposing team.
Whalen knocks that one down, completes the 3-point play, so Connecticut is now within 1 point and another timeout on the court. 3.8 seconds to play, and the Lynx have been involved in thrillers now. This is the 3rd in a row. Coming back from 20 points down on Friday to win, winning in overtime Sunday against Sacramento, and here now. So Susie McConnell-Serio is used to this situation here in the huddle, drawing up strategy.
Well, it's interesting she calls a timeout right now because she's allowing Connecticut to get a chance to set up and play defense against her team, but I think she's really concerned about, you know, who's taking the ball out, who's going to go catch the ball. She wants the right person to catch the ball, somebody that's a good free throw shooter, more than likely Katie in this situation. And for the Sun, they're probably just going to go after the ball. They're going to go after a steal. If they can't get the steal, go after the steal and try to foul at the same time. If it gets called, great. If not, whatever. But you got to foul quick.
And a big deal that the Lynx will then take the ball out, not on the baseline, but close to half court. Tamika Williams inbounds. Got Katie Smith. That's the one she wanted. And the foul comes very quickly, but that is who the Lynx would want to have the ball in that situation. Katie Smith, 90% from the free throw line, and that's right where she will head. She's hit both of them so far this afternoon.
Yeah, it's certainly who they want at the line, but a nice job by the Connecticut Sun, because guess what? Katie hits both of these free throws, and it's still a 3-point game, so it's a one-possession game. You have a chance with 2.7 seconds left to hopefully get the ball up the floor in some way, shape, or form, and give yourself a shot at tying the game, and that's all you can ask for in a game like this.
Smith, the first one up and in. A 2-point game now, 2-point lead for the Lynx. Look at all, she just stands there with complete confidence. Like, hurry up, give me the ball. I'll knock these two down.
This is a job. She's done it thousands and thousands of times.
Katie knocks them both down, and she has 15 points. She had 2 at halftime, has dumped in 13 points here in the second half, and Katie has given the Lynx the 3-point lead. Susie McConnell stereo drawing up strategy, as well as Mike Tebow in the huddles. This is the Connecticut huddle right here. And the play to win the game right there from Mike Tebow.
He's certainly going to run some kind of concocted set to try to get a 3-point shot for one of his 3-point shooters, and he's got, again, a lot of them out there. You know, Katie Douglas certainly capable of taking the 3. Lindsay Whalen, Nikisha Sales. I think he's kind of a little bit undecided. He's erased a couple of letters there a few times. He's like, okay, who's going to take the shot? But again, you just try to run your players off some screens, some back screens, some weak side screens, try to lose the defense, and just give yourself a shot for an open look. And again, they're after the timeout, the ball will be at their end of the floor, so they'll have the ball on their attacking end, and they should be able to get a good look.
Yet 2.7 seconds is not a lot of time, but it's certainly not a frantic catch and throw. You have time to catch it, look at the basket, line up, take
Certainly
the shot.
Plenty of time. How crazy would this place go if Lindsay Whalen hit a 3 right now?
Oh. I think fans are torn. They don't know if they should cheer for the Lynx or Whalen.
It's been that way all day. I think that's why it's been so quiet with all of these fans in here. They're like, oh, do we cheer for Lindsay? Do we cheer for the Minnesota team? Oh, my goodness.
Here we go. Minnesota by 3. Connecticut's last chance to tie the game. Sales to inbound. She's got Whalen back to Sales. The 3 to tie. It's long. And that will do it. Minnesota survives another one. The Lynx have really played wonderful this past couple of weeks, and they pull another one out here today at Target Center. The Lynx win it by 3. We'll be back to wrap things up here right after this. A 3-point win for the Minnesota Lynx, 66-63 over Connecticut. And Tamika Williams joins us now. What is with you guys in the close games lately? My goodness.
I don't know. I'll take them however we get them now. I think Nicole Odie played a great game, a double-double, 11 rebounds. I'm loving when she's rebounding. But we'll take them how we get them. The Western Conference is tough.
I saw you clapped when you saw her box score.
Yeah, 11 rebounds, yes.
Talk about her progression, because I was saying earlier, early in the season, she was competing against the really good players, the really good post players in the WNBA. Now she's getting the better of WNBA post players. How do you see, what is she doing differently?
I think she's just getting to the rim. She's got a lot of combo moves that she's using now, spin moves. She's so versatile. She was coming down the court today, and it was like KG passing off to me, and I'm like, whoa, I didn't think she could do it, but she is so versatile, and she just poses such a threat to all these players, and she's just taking it to them.
What do you attribute being able to win these kind of games to? What's up?
I think for my 3 years here, I've been in a lot of close games. I haven't pulled out a lot of them, but we have so much talent. I think we're deeper. We got Stacey Lovelace coming in playing good minutes. B, who got knocked out again a little bit. I had to hold on the sideline. We just a little bit deeper of a team.
Hey, Tamika, we know this building was full.
Yes.
A lot of people were here to see Lindsay Whalen.
Yes.
You guys don't take that personally now, do you? Because you put on a great show today for everyone.
Well, I think Nicole Odie showed everything. When you got a rookie scoring a double-double, I'd rather, I'm going with Nicole Odie. That's my teammate, and we're having fun. I'm glad that they came out and supported Lindsay. She has a great following. I hope that some of these fans come back. But she's a great kid. She's very nice. She's very talented.
Thank you, Tamika. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Congratulations on this one. That is all from here at Target. Where's mine? All right, final score for the Lynx, 66-63. 63. Tonight on Fox Sports Net, watch Minnesota Sports Tonight. It's a half hour dedicated to your local sports teams. Minnesota Sports Tonight at 10 o'clock tonight. For Andrea, Lloyd-Curry, I'm Marney Gellner. So long from Minneapolis.